Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. With this beautiful performance being a fusion of music, song and dance, including folk traditional instruments, performed by Śląsk Song and Dance Ensemble and the musician Joszko Broda, we welcome you warmly to the opening ceremony of the World Urban Forum 11 Conference. Witamy w Polsce, witamy w Katowicach. My name is Anna Butrym and I'm honored to be the host of the ceremony. We are very pleased that you have come to the World Urban Forum, co-organized by the UN Habitat, the Ministry of Development Funds and Regional Policy, and the city of Katowice. I would like to welcome all the guests from all over the world, representatives of authorities, organizations, media, and above all, the participants of the conference, both those who have came to Spodek and those who are watching us online now. We are lucky to have with us today Mr. Mateusz Morawiecki, Prime Minister of the Republic of Poland, Ms. Maimouna Mohammad Sharif, Under-Secretary General and UN Habitat Executive Director, Mr. Grzegorz Puda, Minister of Development Funds and Regional Policy of the Republic of Poland, Ms. Małgorzata Jarosińska-Jedynak, Secretary of State in the Ministry of Development Funds and Regional Policy, Government Plenipotentiary for the preparation of the World Urban Forum in Katowice 2022. Mr. Marcin Krupa, Mayor of the City of Katowice, Mr. Barry Verbranowicz, Mayor of Kitchener and Governing President of United Cities and Local Governments. Welcome to the ministers, members of parliament, representatives of the government, ambassadors, regional and local representatives. We are very pleased that this year's conference takes place in Katowice. The World Urban Forum this way takes place for the first time not only in Poland but also in Central and Eastern Europe. Polish cities are innovative, they are modern, and they are responding to the current and future challenges with their development being very dynamic. However, it is worth remembering what a difficult road they have there to travel from the destruction of the Second World War through the difficult post-war period on the eastern side of the Iron Curtain. Let's get to know their history better. Please join me in watching the video.
Modern centers of culture and business, innovative architectural and transport solutions, renovated historical monuments, greenery, open and resident-friendly space. This is how Polish cities look today. However, 30 years ago, this landscape looked completely different. This was largely due to the Second World War and post-war actions of the communist regime. After the Second World War, Poland was an almost completely ruined state as a result of the operations of the German and Soviet armies. Not only buildings were destroyed, but also the whole infrastructure and even industry and agriculture. Due to the mobilization and determination of the Polish people, life quickly rose from ruins. However, the end of the war did not bring expected relief. Poland was left on the eastern side of the Iron Curtain, and in the following decades had to struggle not only with the hardships of the country's reconstruction, but also with an increasingly destructive impact of the communist regime. The centrally managed economy and wrong investments quickly brought to a standstill not only Polish local government, but also innovation. Even though Polish cities rose from ruins, they were given socio-realist appearance and functions instead of a basis for growth. In addition, due to the lack of private capital, cities lost their value in almost every aspect. The fall of communism brought an opportunity for change. The emergence of solidarity and regaining of independence by Poland in 1989 provided a spark for the country's rebuilding. Even though the Polish people struggled with soaring inflation and an economic crisis, they amazed the world with remarkably dynamic development. Moreover, the outbreak of entrepreneurship helped to catch up quickly. Polish cities also benefited from this. Despite the dramatic twists and turns in the history of Poland, Polish cities underwent a spectacular metamorphosis during the last 30 years. They aim at better and more sustainable development and a balance between the economic, social and ecological aspects. Revitalization of old spaces, as well as new and bold projects, are focused on enhancement of residents' quality of life and on their needs. Nowadays, Polish cities are turning into friendly places with increasingly better standards of life, providing easy and quick access to services, energy, housing, transport, education, and healthcare. Expanding and enhancing leisure offer, including culture, sports, and tourism. Friendly administration, highly qualified staff, access to knowledge and technology makes cities attractive, not only to investors, but also to present and new residents. Poland Polish cities are increasingly aware of their strengths and weaknesses. Knowledge of their potential and latent capabilities provides a solid foundation for dealing with contemporary problems. Climatic changes, air pollution, economic crises, unemployment, and the coronavirus pandemic are the problems that affect all cities, irrespective of their location. In Poland, the development of cities' resilience is based on smart city management and modern technologies, conscious environmental protection and ecological solutions. Cities also draw on solutions which initiate and support the development of civil society, committed to the matters of the city and local communities, so that it is possible to change our cities for a better future.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to the official part of the ceremony. I would like to ask Mr. Mateusz Morawiecki, Prime Minister of the Republic of Poland, to take the floor.
Madam Chair, Prime Ministers, Ministers, Members of Parliament, and members of local governments, above all, as well as the authors of new solutions for urban spaces. Ladies and gentlemen, dear participants of this 11th World Urban Forum. For me personally, it's a great honor to be able to open officially this forum, because without doubt, we are living in a breakthrough time. The 2 years of the pandemic have shown that we have to redefine life in big urban areas in many countries. It is cities that were present at the dawn of our civilization as drivers of growth. And it is also in cities that in centuries past, big epidemics occurred. This shows that despite the changing times, we are facing the kinds of challenges that we can also see back in history. The cruel war in Ukraine, the assault by Russia that destroyed cities, all demonstrate that these challenges must be reflected upon today if we want to respond to the challenges and the needs of our time. During the Industrial Revolution, Poland could not independently develop its cities because we were not a free country. So we did not have an opportunity to develop our full potential. You just saw in the video how destroyed Polish cities were. Our capital city of Warsaw was turned to rubble. It looked perhaps like Lisbon after a big earthquake, or the London burnt in the mid-17th century. And if you don't believe it, just take a look at some of the pictures of Warsaw from 1945. Now today Warsaw has been restored and rebuilt. It is a vibrant city that shows how dynamically Poland is growing. Katowice, in this region where we're here today, this city, which was built based on the first and the second industrial revolution, it was exploited to its limits. Now this city is now being restored. Opportunities are being created here that are unprecedented. We are taking good care of the environment. It is a city of culture, a city of technology, and that is how we want to transform Polish cities. There's a great number of big cities throughout the world. In Africa alone, there are a number of cities that exceed 5 million in population. Cairo, 20 million. These are enormous urban areas. Now, throughout the world, we have to find answers to the challenges of the time. What that means is that, well, in the past, people used to migrate to cities looking for work. And today, that still is happening in many parts of the world. However, the inequalities are vast. And that is something that we focus on in Poland. Our focus is to reduce inequalities, to reduce their impact on life. In some cities, bold plans are being developed to fly to Mars. In other countries, we see a lot of poverty, a lot of famine. And if we cannot handle these problems, we can't really talk about sustainable growth. The natural environment, jobs, housing, equal opportunity for all residents of big cities as well as smaller towns is our biggest challenge, as well as a chance to succeed. Today, more than before, people migrate to cities looking for employment. But automation, robotization, and digitization are great opportunities as well as challenges. And today, the biggest cities and smaller ones as well can be seen as neural nodes where people interact, and this is where talents follow and millions of people migrate. I believe that this 11th World Urban Forum will develop many solutions, and that ideas, thoughts, great innovative ideas and projects will come together here to produce ways to better live in cities, so that in urban areas we can attract development and project development to other parts of the world, to other areas throughout the entire world. Madam Chair, thank you for a very inspiring conversation. Before the opening of this 11th World Urban Forum, I wish all the participants an interesting, fruitful conference and conclusions that we'll be able to put into life in all of our respective countries. And I hope that all countries, including Ukraine, can develop in peace, safety, and prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Now the floor will be taken by Ms. Maimouna Mohammad Sharif, Under-Secretary General and UN Habitat Executive Director.
Your Excellency Mateusz Morawiecki, Prime Minister of Poland, Honorable Grzegorz Puda, Minister of Funds and Regional Policy, representing the local organizing committee of World Urban Forum 11. Honorable Małgorzata Jaroszynska-Jedynak, Secretary of State at the Ministry of Funds and Regional Policy and Government Plenipotentiary for the preparation of the World Urban Forum. Honorable Mayor Marcin Krupa, Honorable Ministers and Mayors, distinguished delegates and representatives, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. Dzień dobry. I hope I pronounced it well, Mr. Prime Minister. It is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to these 11 sessions of the World Urban Forum. And Your Excellency, Mr. Prime Minister, please allow me to play a video message from the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Antonio Guterres.
It is a pleasure to greet the World Urban Forum. I thank Katowice for hosting this important conference, and allow me to also take this opportunity to express my gratitude for your extraordinary solidarity with Ukrainian refugees in their hour of greatest need. Dear friends, cities are central to virtually every challenge we face and essential to building a more inclusive, sustainable and resilient future. They have been at the front lines of the COVID-19 pandemic. As we look to recover, promoting more inclusive, gender-responsive urban infrastructure and services will be critical to give all people, especially young people, women and girls, access to a better future. The promise of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, to leave no one behind, depends on actions at the local level. It depends on actions in and by cities. Cities generate more than 80% of global GDP and 70% of greenhouse gas emissions. They must be leaders of climate action to keep the 1.5 degrees goal within reach. More and more cities across the world are committing to net zero by 2050 or before. The sooner we translate these commitments into concrete actions, the sooner we will achieve green job growth, better health, and greater equality. But cities cannot do it alone. They need more coordinated support from all levels of government, stronger partnerships with the private sector and civil society, and greater fiscal and policy space to bring solutions to scale. The United Nations is fully committed to working with you to connect the local with the global and together achieve green, just and healthy cities. With the new urban agenda, the Decade of Action for the Sustainable Development Goals and the 2030 Local Coalition, we have the blueprints for progress. Let us harness the transformative potential of urbanization and build a more sustainable, resilient and inclusive future for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres. Mr. Prime Minister, please accept the grateful thanks of the United Nations Human Settlements Program, UN Habitat, for hosting World Urban Forum 11 in Katowice, Poland. This is the first time that World Urban Forum is taking place in Eastern Europe region, and we are very happy to be able to meet in person for the first time since the pandemic. I would like to acknowledge the leadership of Honorable Mr. Grzegorz Puda, and Secretary of State at the Ministry, Madam Małgorzata Jaroszynska-Jedynak, for demonstrating the good cooperation between United Nations and the governments of Poland. I would like to acknowledge Honorable Mayor Marcin Krupa for the excellent cooperation and celebration of the Sustainable Development Goals here in Katowice, Poland. World Urban Forum 11, or known to say WUF 11, WEF WUF 11, is the first major UN conference for sustainable urbanization where we can meet both in person as well as online, especially for the main session. It is also the most inclusive World Urban Forum in terms of accessibility for the differently able, and interpretation and use of sign language has been mainstream throughout. The host country has also provided connectivity through digital services, making this the first truly hybrid WUF. At the same time, when the registration closed on the 25th June 2022, some 20,595 persons have registered. Representing 173 countries, my heartfelt congratulations to all of you. In terms of speakers, we have achieved, Mr. Prime Minister, gender parity with 54% women and 46% men. Ladies and gentlemen, the World Urban Forum is a unique platform where we can share uncomfortable truth about our urbanizing world. In 2020, an additional 93 million people were pushed back into extreme poverty, and as many as 161 million more people face chronic hunger. It is hard to face the reality that inequality is increasingly in every region of the world. Many children significantly miss out schooling, and over 100 million more children fell below the minimum reading proficiency level and other areas of academic learning. With increasing inflation and a war in Europe, even those fortunate people born in the developed world today will face homelessness and joblessness. Estimation shows that in 2020, 50% of the world population live in urban areas, and it is expected that it will reach 68% by 2050. 2 out of 3 human beings will be living in urban areas, and today, over 1 billion are living in informal settlements. WUF is also a place where we can share inspiring stories like Katowice. In 1994, I whispered to Mr. Prime Minister just now, UN Habitat, working with other UN agencies and the regional authorities here in Upper Silesia, was able to lay the groundwork for the urban renewal of cities and communities in Katowice. The short walk that you will take from the Spodek area to the International Conference Center is a giant step through time for Katowice. It is truly an amazing transformation from an economy that is heavily reliant on a single coal mining industry to a diversified one that is freer, cleaner, and greener based on culture and services that is also demonstrated to us in this morning. I am eternal optimist, and from my vantage point, I believe we can regain the confidence of our fellow citizens if we fulfill our commitments. 87 member states, including 45 ministers and senior government officials, gathered with the Global Task Force on Local and Regional Governments, Habitat Professional Forum, Grassroots Constituency, Regional Economic Commission, International Chamber of Commerce, and the President of ECOSOC in what was among the most inclusive and well-attended session of the General Assembly in recent years in New York on the 28th of April 2022. Specifically, the member states call for 5 areas of action. Number 1, housing, basic services, and urban planning. Number 2, climate action and environmentally sustainability. Number 3, urban prosperity, economic transformation, and financing. Number 4, multi-level governance, decentralization, and localization. Number 5, post-conflict or disaster urban recovery. I was also informed that all the 54 member states of the Commonwealth of Nations have endorsed the call to action on sustainable urbanization across the Commonwealth in their meeting in Kigali, Rwanda last week. Let me thank the government of Rwanda for the support we received at the Commonwealth Head of Government meeting, or in short, CHOGM. Meanwhile, let us also capture and build on the high-level political momentum on sustainable urbanization as manifested at the high-level meeting convened by the General Assembly on the implementation of the new urban agenda, the G7 summit under presidency of Germany, the G20 summit later this year under the presidency of Indonesia, and COP27 to be held in Egypt, during which an urban track will also be emphasized on. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the WOF is not a legislative forum, but a unique one where governments meet stakeholders. In the 10th session of the World Urban Forum in Abu Dhabi, we made several commitments in the Abu Dhabi declared actions. In the past 30 months, since we convened the World Urban Forum, some of these declared actions have been fulfilled. On the national urban policies, as of March 2021, 156 countries have developed national urban policies, which almost have 74 already in the implementation stage. The Global Water Operators Partnership Alliance, or GWOPA, 187 water operators partnership improve the efficiency and effectiveness in their service delivery from being part of the Global Water Operators Partnership Alliance. Waste-wise cities. 200 cities are now part of the campaign towards sustainable integrated municipal waste management. Public space. Over 1.82 million people in 75 cities are enjoying safe access to more than 104 public spaces that have been designed and upgraded within the last 30 months. City investment facilities. A fused offering of technical and financial advisory involving UN Habitat and UNCDF expertise have been launched in April this year. Sustainable Human Settlement Foundation will be signing a contribution agreement with UN Habitat at WOF 11, creating consistent funding for UN Habitat and the implementation of its mandate. World Cities Report will be launched at WOF 11 and has been the key document to underpin discussion through the forum this year. From the 11th session of WOOF here in Katowice, let us commit more action that we can take as an individual, partners, communities, cities, and countries to ensure that a better future is possible. We have focal points appointed for all sessions, and we have the WOOF 11 apps where you can record your voluntary commitments. Mr. Prime Minister, Honorable Ministers, Mayors, colleagues, the time for action is now. Thank you. Yen Kuya. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that inspiring speech. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the WOOF 11 participants are also welcomed by His Excellency Mr. Ilham Aliyev, President of the Republic of Azerbaijan.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, this year we mark the 30th anniversary of Azerbaijan's membership in the United Nations. To celebrate this important occasion, a landmark event devoted to the attainment of sustainable development goals in the post-pandemic and post-conflict era was organized in the liberated city of Shusha, the cultural capital of Azerbaijan, in March this year, with the participation of UN agencies. The 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda and the new Urban Agenda guide our efforts to achieve sustainable urbanization while preserving the historic look of capital city Baku. We have succeeded in rebuilding and modernizing its infrastructure. It is worth noting that modernization and reconstruction of Baku and other cities of Azerbaijan has exposed us to new opportunities and experiences in terms of urban development. Baku, which is considered as one of the most beautiful cities with its unique architecture, parks and boulevards, combines in harmony the historical heritage and modernity. For us, sustainable urban development has gained even more value following the patriotic war of 2020, when Azerbaijan liberated its territories from 3 decades-long Armenian occupation. Armenia has purposefully destroyed cities and villages and robbed and plundered every cultural and religious monument in the occupied territories, turning them into a stark example of urbicide and culturicide. Perhaps the destruction of cities of this extent has not occurred anywhere else in the world since the Second World War. 9 Azerbaijani cities and hundreds of villages have been wiped out. Destruction of Agdam city was of such magnitude that it was named by international experts as Hiroshima of Caucasus. Foreign diplomats, journalists, and representatives of international NGOs have witnessed this vandalism during their visit to the liberated territories. Azerbaijan is keen to turn the page of war, normalize the relations, and sign a peace agreement with Armenia based on mutual recognition of sovereignty and territorial integrity of each other. Azerbaijan presented 5 basic principles for peace negotiations, and Armenia accepted them. Azerbaijan is currently undertaking one of the most complex and ambitious reconstruction and rehabilitation efforts in contemporary history. The massive mine contamination is the main challenge ahead of us and slows down reconstruction and return of internally displaced persons. During the times of occupation, Armenia planted more than 1 million landmines. Since the end of the patriotic war in November 2020, more than 220 Azerbaijani citizens were killed or severely injured as a result of landmine explosions. Azerbaijan is applying modern urban planning and utilizing the concept of green energy and zero emissions in the liberated territories. The first pilot project for the return of internally displaced persons was implemented in the village of Agali of Zengilan region. This May, first residents of the Agali village started to resettle in their homelands. Smart village Agali has become one of the most modern villages in the world now. Azerbaijan has built an airport in the liberated city of Fizuli in less than 8 months. Currently, the construction of 2 more airports is underway in the liberated cities of Zengilan and Lachin. The master plan of Shusha is based on retaining the tremendous historical heritage of the city. In Ardam, we are building a completely new city with population of tens of thousands of inhabitants, which will become an industrial center of the Karabakh region. We are building Zengilan with a view to integrate this city into nature and turning it into a park city. Overall, our target is to combine speed and quality in the reconstruction process, whereas the protection of the environment will be among our priorities. We aim to build inclusive, safe, resilient and sustainable cities and villages. New cities and villages will have a harmony of living and working conditions. All this work is being conducted with Azerbaijan's own financial resources. We believe that the reconstruction conducted by Azerbaijan on such a large scale turns our liberated territories into a laboratory of excellence in urban development. The solidarity and international support in the sphere of reconstruction of the liberated territories is of crucial importance to us. It will strengthen our belief that Azerbaijan is not alone in its noble endeavors. Together with the United Nations, World Bank and the European Union, we have already implemented the joint recovery needs assessment in our 3 liberated regions. During her visit to Azerbaijan this March, we had a chance to discuss the future of our cooperation with Madam Maimouna Moht Sharif. Madam Executive Director visited the liberated Agdam city. We are willing to have more close cooperation with UN Habitat and expect the experts to be a part of this reconstruction process. The discussion on the organization of the annual National Urban Forum this year in Agdam is also underway between Azerbaijan and UN Habitat. It's my great pleasure to announce Azerbaijan's readiness to host one of the next sessions of the World Urban Forum. Thank you.
We will now listen to the words addressed by Iván Duque Márquez, President of the Republic of Colombia.
Greetings, President of Poland, Andrzej Duda, and to all the participants of the World Urban Forum 11. I celebrate that the slogan of this edition is changing our cities for a better future. Because here in Colombia, this has been the approach we have chosen to make cities the axis of sustainable and inclusive future, always having in mind the new global agenda. March last year, we presented the first report of fulfillment of the agenda, though it's clearly stated that despite all the challenges ahead, the country is decreasing its losing the deficit and heading towards the management of a balanced land use planning. During the past 4 years, more than 172,000 subsidies for the buying of new houses have been allotted, and a total of 800,000 units have been made available throughout the country. In addition, more than 16,800 hectares of land have been made available within the aim of making easier the high-level urban projects. On the other hand, in order to take care of the quality deficit, we have reduced to almost 700,000 households throughout action lies. Ownership, improved surroundings, improved housing conditions. We have also implemented a differentiated strategy of financial and technical help to the country's municipalities in order to support their land's management and the regulation of their land. Also, we support biodiversities within the cities, and we have managed to have 14 regional capitals to have green projects for better environment, air quality, and other necessities, and also to be climate resilient and to have public policies with a positive impact on nature. We are the first country in Latin America to have a financial tool for urban infrastructures linked to renovation projects. Last but not least, I want to tell you that we have developed together with the OECD the Urban Policy Review, where we have included 16 guidelines to implement the national policy in the matter. I want to tell you and reassure you that we have reassured the engagement of Colombia in the new urban agenda because we are aware of the importance of a green urban development, which is key to achieve the shared urban goal to be carbon neutral in 2050, while generating more equity in our nations. Thank you very much, and greetings here to Mahmouda Monsharif, who has been the leader behind all these good practices to have a housing, sustainable housing. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the floor will be now taken by Mr. Grzegorz Puda, Minister of Development Funds and Regional Policy of the Republic of Poland. The stage is yours.
Szanowna
Madam Director, Maimouna Monsharif, Mr. Prime Minister, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time, this most important urban event is taking place in Poland, and today the whole world is looking at Katowice. It is a great honor for me to join you during this opening ceremony and throughout the forum. It is my pleasure to thank, especially on behalf of our ministry, which is a co-organizer of the World Urban Forum, to thank Madam Director, thank you, to thank Mayor Krupa, and to thank everyone involved in the preparation of this immense event. Our day-to-day work, very intensive work, has produced results, and we are today inaugurating here in Katowice, at the heart of the capital of this region, and today of Poland, we are inaugurating this important event, and people from various parts of the world are going to debate on various topics here in Katowice. They'll talk about the development of cities, the development of world economy, and the rapid changes we're seeing in urbanization give rise to new problems and new challenges. And we as ministries, as well as you as the participants and members of local governments, have to live up to these challenges and step up. And therefore we need a good debate to be able to encourage the international community to debate at length and in depth about how to develop cities, no matter where in the world they're located. And therefore it is essential to develop a joint strategy for actions that will allow us to balance cities' efforts to improve mobility and efficiencies, as well as competitiveness, and to achieve sustainable growth. We are changing our cities for a brighter future, and that is the focus of this forum, which provides a lot of inspiration to governments, central and local, as well as academia, NGOs, and all those who formulate city policies and seek new solutions that are friendly to the dwellers. I would like to say that the agenda of WUF 11 fits into the sustainable growth agenda of sustainable cities and local communities. And we would like to, therefore, to focus on supporting and fostering a better, sustainable, environmentally friendly future of urbanization that is going to build resilience. The future of global world, cities depends on what we decide today here in Katowice. And during the forum, we're going to share experiences on how to restore cities after wars, after COVID, and how to transform them further. Poland has come out of World War II and overcame the sad legacy of communism and is now building the potential of its cities that have become modern urban areas, modern cities. We had less time to do this than Western countries, and nevertheless, Poland is growing and becoming a country of great potential. Poland is growing at a high speed. It has become the driver of development in Europe. We are making a contribution to the forum, and during this forum, we're going to present the country's urban policy 2030 that was adopted on the 14th of June of this year by our government. The main goal is to achieve a sustainable transformation of our cities towards strong, resilient cities that ensure a high quality of life for all residents. Now, during the plenary session, we're going to talk about the restoration of Ukrainian cities, among others. During the forum, 104 cities of Poland will sign commitments to carry out projects focused on sustainable development under the auspices of the United Nations. I wish you a fruitful debate, and I hope that you're going to leave Katowice and Poland knowing that Katowice is a good place to invest and that Poland is a rapidly growing country. Thank you, and I hope that we're going to see each other again during the conference, during the forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I will give the floor to Ms. Małgorzata Jarosińska-Jedynak, Secretary of State in the Ministry of Development Funds and Regional Policy, Government Plenipotentiary for the preparation of the World Urban Forum in Katowice 2022.
Szanowna Pani Dyrektor Wykonawcza, Szanowna Majmuno, Panie Ministrze, Państwo Ministrowie, Państwo Samorządowcy, drodzy przyjaciele, a tak naprawdę wczoraj ustaliłyśmy...
Yesterday we spoke with Maimuna that we are actually brothers and sisters. I would like to welcome you to the 11th session of the World Urban Forum in Katowice. I do apologize for the state of my voice now and for being so emotional today, but actually 2 years ago, together with Mayor Marcin Krupa, with Katarzyna Smentek, a representative of the Youth Council, I had the pleasure to receive from the hosts of the 10th session of the World Urban Forum in Abu Dhabi the flag of the World Urban Forum 11. It seemed such a short time ago, but the 2 intervening years have been marked by hard work. I would like to thank you today for being with us today and for seeing the effects of this work and what we have managed to do. First of all, as a country, as an ambitious country, as you could have seen during the movie, we wanted this World Urban Forum to be memorable. We wanted to think outside the box. That's why we are not limited to the venue of this conference. We move out of this space. We reach out to the entire city. We wanted to engage young people because it is their energy and passion, their will to change the world that makes us want to create and implement good solutions for cities. That is why this is the first time we have convened a youth council during this forum. We want to listen to the young people. As Maimuna was saying, accessibility is of paramount importance for all of us, each and every one of us, irrespective of their deficiencies, incapacities, and inabilities, are able to be present here in this forum, to have their voice heard, to tell us how to remove barriers and obstacles from everyday life. Also business, which is the core of the development of towns and cities, is of great importance for all the solutions that touch upon the urban sector. Also the Business Council, which is active and creates very good solutions, is of great importance. Ladies and gentlemen, I do hope that you will leave this conference with your heads spinning with a lot of ideas. And our declaration and the heritage of the World Urban Forum, the plan of action for cities, will be a signpost showing us how we could create cities of the future, so that every single one of us might find something good in these plans. So, my brothers and sisters, let's debate, let's discuss the best solutions that can be. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And now I will give the floor to Mr. Marcin Krupa, Mayor of the city of Katowice.
Szanowna Pani
Madam Secretary General, Mr. Minister, Madam Minister, ministers, members of local governments, regional governor, dear guests, dear residents of our cities, all those of you who have come to the World Urban Forum and all those who are watching us online, it is a great honor and pleasure for me that the 11th World Urban Forum is taking place right here in Katowice in Poland, and especially in the region of Silesia, where we say that a guest in your house is God in your house, which is why over the last 2 years we've been working hard and tirelessly, first headed by Minister Jerzy Kwieciński, whom we welcome here cordially. It all began with him, and then led by Minister Jarosińska-Jedynak and Grzegorz Puda. And the purpose of that work was to ensure that you feel at home here in this town, a home that is green, filled with culture, music, a home that is creative and inspiring. All those of you who have come to Katowice have a chance to see how this city has transformed. This is something that my predecessors have also mentioned. This was one of the biggest transformation projects in this part of Europe. And I'd like to note, and I want to do this emphatically, there would not be a change of Katowice from an industrial city into a city that is very modern without its residents. It is the thousands of residents that got involved in changing the image of the city and the region, as well as Europe and the world. And it is the residents that are driving the changes towards what they expect and what we wish to deliver. Now, we have shown this very well a few months ago when the dwellers of Katowice, and not only of Katowice, but also other cities in the world, chose to take action after the brutal attack of Russia on Ukraine. They decided to help all the Ukrainians who needed help, who needed assistance, who came to Poland, as well as who stayed behind in Ukraine, fighting for democracy, fighting for the freedom of their country. Ladies and gentlemen, it is paramount for our actions to include local residents. Benjamin Barber said, "Let's not divide people into those who are weak and those who are poor. Let's not divide cities into the strong and the weak. Let's not divide people into the creative and the less creative. Let's divide people into those who want to learn and those who do not." Because the voice of those who want to learn is key. And World Urban Forum should become a lesson to all of us, and we should be good students. If we do that, I am confident that our cities will grow in harmony with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. I wish you a good stay in Katowice, and I hope that you will make many wonderful decisions that we will then put into practice. I wish you all the best.
Her Excellency Mrs. Elisa Ferreira, Commissioner for Cohesion and Reforms from European Commission, will also address the participants with the words of welcome.
Thank you very much. Dziękuję. Dear Prime Minister Morawiecki, dear Mayor of Katowice, Mr. Marcin Krupa, dear Secretary General of the United Nations, caro António Guterres, my dear Mrs. Maimouna Moad Sharif, dear leaders, dear members of government, ministers, dear colleagues, I am really grateful for the opportunity to speak today, and I regret not to be there with you in the beautiful city of Katowice. Sustainable urban development is in fact one of the keys to the future of Europe, and indeed the world. Cities are key to our green and digital future. Many of the investments of tomorrow start and will go on starting in cities. But cities still face many crises and challenges. Deprived neighborhoods and people in vulnerable conditions, and demographic change, which will widen territorial disparities in access to services. Cities are in the front line of the challenges we face, but also of the solutions we need to overcome them. We cannot rise to the green and the digital opportunities, nor to the social and demographic challenges if we are territorially blind. We must tackle specific needs of each place, recognizing the relationship between places such as urban areas and their surrounding areas. We need to reinforce our cooperation, peer exchanges, best practices, knowledge sharing, on the best way to provide essential services to all our citizens. We firmly maintain our collective commitment to the new urban agenda and wish to reinforce it together with you and other committed partners and stakeholders. Through cohesion policy alone, the European Union has invested 115 billion euros in cities over the last 7 years. And through European Union development cooperation, we have provided substantial assistance to sustainable urban development in many of our partner countries. But today, there is a new sense of urgency. This became clear at the recent high-level meeting on the new urban agenda, and this urgency will continue in the high-level political forum of 2023, and also in the review of the Sustainable Development Goals 11. We must accelerate actions. We must accelerate delivery. At the European level, our vision for future cities was set out in the new Leipzig Charter. The Charter sets out 3 goals for cities: green, just, productive. We want to improve quality of life for all, but this requires substantial investment and bold measures. So we welcome the example of our hosts, the city of Katowice, and their commitment to zero carbon, to regeneration of the post-industrial landscape, and to regeneration through the culture sector. These investments, and many others across Europe, are supported by European cohesion policy. We are dedicated to urban development. We are dedicated to supporting cities of all sizes, including the crucial role and rebalancing role played by small and medium-sized cities. We are dedicated to local strategies developed by local people, tackling the needs of the functional area in the very diverse territorial contexts. And we are dedicated to the principles of the new urban agenda. The European Union and its member states are ready to accelerate this agenda. We stand by our previous commitments, including our cooperation with cities across the globe and our provision of urban tools and data. And we are now adding 3 new voluntary commitments. First, to extend cooperation on sustainable urban development with cities in European Union partner countries. Second, to support 100 European cities as hubs for experimentation and innovation for green, digital, and inclusive transformations. And third, through what we have called the new European Bauhaus, to support models and experimentation in making cities not just sustainable, but also more beautiful and more inclusive. We call it sustainability with style. I will conclude first by reminding there is no problem in the world where the solution is less cooperation. For everything, we need more cooperation. Unfortunately, these days, we are all witnessing a Russian war of aggression against Ukraine. This aggression is unprovoked, it's unjustified. It is a blatant violation of international rules and the United Nations Charter, and severely undermines global cooperation. Secondly, I reaffirm our commitment to pursue sustainable urban development with all partners in a multi-level governance approach, and by all means, from cooperation to investment. Urban development is not an abstract concept. It is about changing people's lives for the better, whoever and wherever they are. And this is our joint commitment. Dziękuję.
Thank you very much for joining us. And now I would like to ask Mr. Berit Vybranovich, Mayor of Kitchener, President of United Cities and Local Governments, to take the floor.
Honorable Prime Minister, Your Excellency Maimouna Mohd Sharif, Honorable Ministers, dear Mayor Krupa of Katowice, Ministers, Ambassadors, dear local government colleagues and friends. Dziękuję za otwarcie swojego kraju.
Thank you for the opening. The nations and beating hearts of Europe are here with you.
For me to be here today representing the world's cities and regions through United Cities and local governments in this opening ceremony of the 11th World Forum. Allow me to thank the hosts of Katowice, the government of Poland, and UN Habitat for bringing the sustainable urbanization community together again at such a crucial time in our shared global history. I especially want to thank the people of Poland for welcoming more than 20,000 WOOF registrants to Katowice in person and virtually, after already welcoming more than 3.5 million displaced Ukrainians to your country as a result of the war waged by Russia against them. In a taxi ride while here, a taxi driver, when asked about how many people from Ukraine were in the city, he said, "There are no longer Ukrainian and Polish people here. We are all now Ukrainians, standing together in solidarity with our neighbors as they strive for peace." This, my friends, is the solidarity that exists amongst the cities of the world and the citizens we represent. Excellencies and friends, when we met in Abu Dhabi more than 2 years ago, we had no idea of the pandemic that the world would undergo and the subsequent transformation. During these trying times, we have been collaborating closer than ever amongst each other and amongst spheres of government to ensure that the collective learning we created to face the pandemic and foster the type of innovation that exists will now help us both prevent future disasters and face new challenges together. Local and regional governments have incorporated a new dimension of care in our day-to-day operations to guarantee that the lives and livelihoods are maintained in complex moments and to protect our community's health and security. We come together here in Katowice with the firm purpose to push for those temporary services around food provision, housing, and access to technology, but also to health and access to our public spaces to become permanent. Our message is clear. Together, we must achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Only through their localization with resource and far-reaching urban agendas at the local, national, and international levels will we create the enabling environments that we need. Local and regional governments need to be seen as allies to face the overlapping crises that are challenging our world. As UN Secretary General Guterres said, we can break down or we can break through. We stand before you today as an organized constituency with the firm commitment to break through, united as one. The time has come so that together we can ensure that the cities and regions of this world have an equal and stronger voice on the global stage. As we go forward, we must put the core values of the new urban agenda to use in our day-to-day policies. We must inspire a new generation of human rights by guaranteeing the right to the city for all. And we must deploy a different kind of diplomacy, a transformative diplomacy that fosters a culture of peace where bridges are built between communities, even in the hardest of times. Excellencies, colleagues, may the coming days of WUF 11 be the beginning of our shared journey towards this new world together. Dziękuję bardzo.
Dziękujemy bardzo. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, in a moment we are going to see a unique show. Original compositions of choreography, stage design, music, and body makeup that create a spectacle of animated painting. By combining so many means of expression, the group has developed a new way of interpretation. The choreography combines different dance styles, classical, jazz, contemporary. However, the group has made a name for itself for its unique blend of organic methods of expressing dance and painting. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Art Color Ballet.
tadi secara eksklusifnya Majlis Perasmian World Urban Forum kali ke-11 yang berlangsung di Katowice, Poland pada kali ini, di mana anda mengikuti tadi ucapan daripada Perdana Menteri Poland sehinggalah kepada pengarah eksekutif UN Habitat sendiri, iaitu Datuk Seri Maimunah Muhammad Sharif, dan juga diwarnai dengan persembahan tradisi yang penuh dengan warna-warni. Namun apakah mesejnya di sebalik ucapan dan juga di sebalik perhimpunan yang boleh dikatakan satu majlis yang penuh inklusif dan sangat inklusif yang melibatkan pakar-pakar, pemimpin-pemimpin kerajaan, mereka yang terlibat dalam NGO dan juga golongan muda serta golongan cendekiawan yang berhimpun di Katowice ini untuk mencari solusi terbaik untuk menangani isu-isu urbanisasi. Dan ini lebih kompleks lagi selepas COVID-19 dan juga beberapa krisis yang disebut seperti krisis perangan dan juga krisis capital dan juga krisis yang disebabkan oleh alam sekitar dan juga climate change. Saudara Hamdan bersama dengan saya daripada Think City, terima kasih kerana bersama kami, kerana perwakilan Malaysia diketuai oleh Menteri di Perumahan dan Kerajaan Tempatan Datuk Seri Rizal Merican dan juga ramai lagi agensi-agensi lain di sini. Dan Think City salah seorang ataupun salah satu daripada delegasi 200 delegasi Malaysia yang berada di WUF ke-11 ini. Tapi Hamdan, kalau dapat kita rangkumkan atau melihat sendiri ucapan yang diberikan oleh daripada pemimpin kerajaan dari Poland dan juga beberapa buah negara sehinggalah kepada ucapan oleh pengarah eksekutif UN Habitat sendiri. Dunia berubah sama sekali selepas COVID-19 dan ini penting masanya untuk bertindak. Bukan lagi deklarasi, bukan lagi perbincangan semata-mata, Hamdan.
Memang benar, masa dia sudah tiba untuk mengambil tindakan, dan tindakan yang kita perlu ambil adalah tindakan segera. Kerana krisis perbandaran ini meningkat dengan situasi COVID, kita melihat isu perbandaran menjadi salah satu daripada isu-isu yang perlu ditangani. Bukan sahaja di Malaysia tapi di seluruh dunia. So krisis perbandaran yang dilihat di seluruh dunia menjadi satu focal point untuk kerajaan di seluruh dunia untuk memberi tumpuan khas bagaimana kita akan menjadikan bandar-bandar kita yang menambahkan daya huni dan bandar-bandar yang mesra rakyat. Dan kita boleh dilihat di bandar Katowice ini bagaimana hasil daripada usaha kerajaan bersama sektor swasta dan komuniti telah menampilkan hasil yang menakjubkan. Satu bandar yang yang dibelengui ataupun boleh dikatakan situasi parah sekarang menjadi satu bandar yang boleh dikatakan hope for the future. Yang kita boleh lihat dengan sendiri situasi transformasi. So dalam message yang kita dengar daripada semua pemimpin dunia yang telah berada di sini ialah isu act now, act local and act to focus on how we bring improvement to the people. The key is that how do you make our cities work and how can we make our cities more livable.
Dan kalau dilihat juga dalam sesi tadi juga kita melihat bahawa dalam deklarasi ataupun declared action Abu Dhabi 2020, 30 bulan sahaja tempohnya daripada WUF yang ke-10 pada tahun 2020 sehinggalah ke WF tahun ini. Tetapi banyak yang telah dicapai melalui smart partnership yang dilakukan oleh pelbagai peringkat. Ada banyak lagi public spaces yang telah dibuka, akses selamat kepada kesihatan dan juga kepada air bersih dan juga sehinggalah kepada hal-hal yang paling asas di kawasan bandar. Sesuatu boleh dilakukan dalam jangka masa yang pendek. Pada pandangan Hamdan, apa yang kita lihat daripada Abu Dhabi 2020, penganjuran WF ke-10 sehinggalah ke hari ini?
Isu perbandaran ini bukan isu yang boleh ditangani dalam masa yang tersingkat. Walaupun begitu, kita dapat melihat hasil-hasil usaha daripada declared action di Abu Dhabi mula menambahkan hasilnya pada masa kini. Dan memang isu COVID telah mempercepatkan proses untuk declared action. Sebab
walaupun ini adalah satu cabaran besar,
memang benar, memang satu cabaran besar, kekurangan dana, memerlukan koordinasi di situasi COVID. Namun begitu kita melihat hasil-hasil yang telah banyak perubahan dapat dilihat di seluruh dunia. Dan yang paling penting sekali ialah kita mengambil iktibar daripada krisis itu dan membina balik, build back better. That means that we are learning from the crisis to make our cities to become more resilient, to become more people friendly, to make it more human. Cities are not only about buildings, cities is all about people, and people make cities. So kalau kita fokus kepada masyarakat setempat dan membina balik bandar-bandar kita bersama dengan masyarakat setempat, hasilnya boleh kita capai dalam masa yang tersingkat.
Hamdan, kalau dilihat kepada sejarah WUF dimulakan pada tahun 2002 di Nairobi, penyertaan pada ketika sekitar 200 penyertaan dan juga delegasi. Tapi hari ini sudah mencapai kepada hampir 20,453 yang mendaftar untuk WUF ke-11 dan ini merentasi pelbagai pihak. Bagaimana kita melihat bahawa ini adalah satu komitmen secara menyeluruh dan satu petanda baik dan juga partisipasi yang lebih banyak?
World Urban Forum menjadi satu tumpuan untuk para boleh dikatakan bukan sahaja sektor kerajaan tapi sektor swasta dan sektor komuniti untuk berganding bahu dan kita boleh melihat dengan participation dari 173 negeri dan lebih daripada 25,000 orang telah mengambil komitmen untuk bersama untuk mempelajari dari pelbagai perubahan bandar yang berlaku di seluruh dunia, membina rangkaian bersama untuk untuk membawa perubahan di bandar-bandar dan kita melihat juga di sini juga menjadi satu opportunity untuk kita, particularly the Malaysian delegation, untuk showcase Malaysian story of change. Malaysia memang satu case study untuk bagaimana rapid urbanization telah ditangani. Dalam 50 tahun Malaysia telah menjadi satu boleh dikatakan urban nation. And proses penukaran atau rapid urbanization yang berlaku di Malaysia itu ialah salah satu case study reference. Walaupun boleh dikatakan situasi di Malaysia itu glass half full. Memang ada perubahan yang perlu kita jalankan. Namun begitu, Malaysia mempunyai banyak achievement, success story yang boleh kita berkongsikan bersama agensi-agensi lain dan komuniti-komuniti lain, dan WUF menjadi satu tempat yang paling bagus di mana kita dapat menunjukkan hasil kerja kita.
Dan apa expectation Think City? Hamdan sendiri terlibat dengan 5 sesi sefaham saya dan juga partisipasi delegasi Malaysia juga begitu pelbagai dalam beberapa forum yang lain. Jadi what's your expectation dan juga apa yang dijangkakan dan juga harapnya dapat dicapai ataupun dilakukan di WUF 11 ini?
Sebagai rakan strategik UN Habitat di Malaysia, kita mengambil kesempatan ini untuk pertama sekali mengeratkan dengan para boleh dikatakan agensi-agensi yang berkumpul di sini. Yang itu. Nama kedua ni kita mengambil kesempatan untuk belajar. Sebab banyak yang kita perlu mengetahui tentang perubahan yang berlaku dan bagaimana kita dapat membawa pembelajaran itu ke tempat balik ke negara kita. Dan yang ketiga itu kita membina rangkaian sebab perubahan perbandaran itu bukan satu perubahan yang boleh dijalankan oleh segelintir masyarakat. Ia perlukan usaha sama masyarakat di seluruh dunia. So ini menjadi satu forum yang baik untuk membina platform collaboration bersama.
Tapi dalam masa yang sama, apabila kita menyebut bahawa krisis 3C itu ini termasuk capital dan krisis ini juga menuntut bahawa tidak ada dana yang terlalu besar untuk dilakukan untuk aspek-aspek untuk menangani isu perbandaran. Kerana itu perlunya ada partnership dan juga kerjasama yang Hamdan katakan tadi. Dan juga itu juga dilakukan oleh Think City. Bagaimana sebenarnya ini adalah platform terbaik untuk mencari rakan kerjasama yang terbaik?
Memang di World Urban Forum itu ialah boleh dikatakan the main event for people who are in the urban space. So obviously we cannot not be here. But importantly is that the issue of capital is a big challenge. As we know that the current fiscal space after COVID, many countries have limited resources or constrained resources. But if we find ways to work with the private sector and communities, there is a possibility to see how the shortage of funding can be addressed. As you know that that as we can see, the world is still flush with money. There's a lot of liquidity. But money need to find home. Can the urban sector attract capital and investments that will support the process of transformation of cities around the world?
Dan kita cerita pasal peluang, kita bercerita mengenai sesuatu yang boleh dilakukan. COVID-19 mungkin memberikan impak yang besar tetapi memungkinkan segalanya. Hamdan, kalau dilihat COVID-19 bantuan diberikan secara mudahnya, dan bagaimana kita nak memastikan bahawa itu wujud selepas pasca COVID-19 ini, dan juga capital itu dapat diberikan dan juga disalurkan dengan cara yang mudah dan juga lebih berkesan.
Waktu COVID itu memang krisis yang kerajaan telah respon dengan urgensi. Saya rasa pada pandangan saya itu krisis perbandaran itu juga perlu respon yang sama. Sebab isu krisis perbandaran itu akan cripple the country kalau kita tidak mengambil tindakan sewajarnya yang pada masa yang tersingkat. Kalau kita dapat mengambil tindakan, we can unlock urban dividend dan memastikan cities become the engine of growth. So that it's a twin edge, that if you do the right things, you can unlock and achieve your urban dividends. If you don't take action, then the externality of urbanization will limit the possibility of economic growth. So the urgency for action is today. That's why the conversation in the World Urban Forum is about declared action and action today.
Bagaimana itu mungkin dapat dilihat dengan segera kerana momentum itu cukup baik daripada Abu Dhabi. Macam kita katakan tadi, 30 bulan, ratusan dan ribuan usaha telah digerakkan dan juga dapat dicapai. Kalau ekspektasi daripada Poland ini bagaimana?
Kita perlu meneruskan usaha yang telah dimulakan di WUF, di Kuala Lumpur, di Abu Dhabi dan di Katowice ini. Usaha itu perlu dipercepatkan dan perlu there needs better coordination lah. Because we cannot be in a situation where we keep repeating the mistakes. We need to learn from one another. We need to become smart about moving faster, and we need to actually ensure that we don't leave anyone behind. Because the mandate of achieving SDGs is by 2030, and that is less than 8 years. In 8 years' time, we need to achieve the commitments that we have made in Habitat 3, whereby that countries and cities will focus their efforts towards achieving SDG cities, the SDG cities, SDG, and particularly SDG cities, SDG number 11, is an important component of that.
Urbanization. Okey, Hamdan, saya nak berhenti rehat seketika dahulu, tapi selepas ini kita ada kerangka SDG bandar kita sendiri, dan itu diterapkan di peringkat PBT dan juga bandar-bandar di seluruh Malaysia, 155 contohnya. Permulaan yang baik dan ada yang sudah menunjukkan hasil. Bagaimana kita melihat ini satu perkara yang dapat dirakyatkan dan juga dapat disebarluaskan, itu kita bincang dan berborak sebentar lagi. Kami berhenti rehat seketika dahulu, kembali lagi daripada Katowice, Poland sebentar lagi.
Kekalkan kekuatan dan tenaga.
Semua yang terjadi adalah berita, tetapi tiada siapa yang boleh bawakan yang terkini dan tergempar seperti kami.
Dilihat hanya memberi wang tanpa matlamat yang tepat. Dia tidak melakukan apa-apa kesalahan.
Untuk mendapatkan jawapan yang bermakna, kita perlu soalan yang tepat.
Amat sedih dengan apa yang berlaku ke atas.
Tiada ruang untuk berita palsu.
Negara kita telah merekodkan kes harian baru sebanyak
hanya fakta yang diberikan.
Amat penting untuk meneruskan perjuangan negara melawan pandemik ini.
Sentiasa memastikan suara anda, suara rakyat didengari.
Kenapa?
Membawakan apa yang penting di mana sahaja anda berada.
Kerana kita hendak putuskan rantaian jangkitan.
Belanjawan dan pendekatan bertemakan survival ini secara keseluruhan.
Teruskan bersama kami, Astro AWANI, saluran berita yang paling dipercayai rakyat Malaysia.
Kita berhadapan dengan situasi pandemik yang agak luar biasa. Self-control, self-lockdown itu penting. Lebih kurang pergerakan, maka lebih sukar untuk COVID menjangkit kita. Untuk tempoh 2 minggu ini, duduk di rumah. Kalau kita boleh laksanakan PKP Kendiri dan keluarga. Saya kira insya-Allah kita boleh berjaya. Akhirnya kita menang.
Semua yang terjadi adalah berita, tetapi tiada siapa yang boleh bawakan yang terkini dan tergempar seperti kami.
Dilihat hanya memberi wang tanpa matlamat yang tepat. Dia tidak melakukan apa-apa kesalahan.
Untuk mendapatkan jawapan yang bermakna, kita perlu soalan yang tepat.
Amat sedih dengan apa yang berlaku ke atas.
Tiada ruang untuk berita palsu.
Negara kita telah merekodkan kes harian baru sebanyak
hanya fakta yang diberikan.
Hari pertama selepas perasmian WF ke-11 yang berlangsung di Katowice, Poland ini, sebentar lagi kami akan bawakan perasmian Pavilion Malaysia dan juga ucapan oleh Menteri Kerajaan Tempatan dan juga Perumahan dan Kerajaan Tempatan, Datuk Seri Rizal Merican. Tapi saya masih lagi bersama dengan Hamdan. Hamdan, kalau dapat ceritakan cerita detail di Malaysia, SDG, cities dan juga roadmap yang kita bentangkan, itu mungkin salah satu perkara the best practice yang kita boleh menjadikan batu penanda aras. Bagaimana kita bergerak dari situ?
Malaysia telah mulakan usaha untuk mencapai komitmen kepada bangsa-bangsa bersatu untuk mencapai SDG, program SDG by 2030. And SDG cities is one of the key SDGs because it's overarching. And then and so for cities, the focus is on SDG cities. So it's important that our local governments focus and accelerate the target to achieve the targets. While they have set the baseline, it's important now to focus what will move the needle, so that we can show and demonstrate the outcome in terms of making our cities to become what I call places of hope and possibility. Now, one of the key things I believe is that while government can do their effort and will do will deliver on their commitment, it's important that we encourage the private sector, particularly through the ESG program, and also communities to play an active part to drive this agenda about building back better and building cities of hope and possibility. And I think that is going to be the key for Malaysia's future.
Itu kata kuncinya untuk masa depan Malaysia. Hamdan, terima kasih kerana sudi bersama kami langsung dari Katowice, Poland. Saya kena lepaskan Hamdan kerana ada sesi forum selepas ini, dan kami akan bawakan juga beberapa lagi perkembangan menarik khususnya delegasi Malaysia di WF yang ke-11 ini. Sekian saja Majlis Perasmian World Urban Forum yang ke-2022 kali ke-11 yang berlangsung di Poland ini. Kembali kepada rakan-rakan di Astro AWANI.